Take 3 Gen Xers, give them a topic about music, movies, pop culture, or whatever, and how it relates to them growing up in the 70s and 80s as part of Generation X. Add one person from another generation to see if there's any common ground, and you've got Solve for Gen X, starting now. Are you applying a lip?
I'm applying a little lipstick. I was feeling a little pale.
All right, maybe I should put some on too.
Look at that.
Put some on Nate.
Changed everything.
That makes all the difference.
Maybe we just do fish lips for this podcast. Mm-hmm. I like Casey. The year, 1970. The day, July 4th. America's birthday. That was the day that gave birth to a staple of American pop culture. An entire generation of radio listeners from coast to coast and from around the world. All shared the same listening destination. American Top 40, hosted by radio DJ Kamal Amin Kasem, better known simply as Casey Kasem. I'm Nate Starkey, coming to you from Hollywood, and now we're up to the part of my intro that I'm going to pretend is a request and dedication. And it comes from a 9-year-old girl in the nation's capital. Here's what I'm going to pretend she writes. Dear Nate, I'm worried that the young people in this country don't have enough shared experiences. I saw online somewhere that the people from your generation didn't have as many choices when it came to media consumption. And so, Nate, I fear that my generation is growing up in small, isolated bubbles. For my 10th birthday party, I want only one present. Please dedicate an entire episode of Solving for Gen X to Casey Kasem and the American Top 40 Countdown. Signed, Chesley. Okay, Chesley. Here's your request and dedication. Solve for Gen X presents Casey Kasem and the American Top 40 Countdown, a vital part of the week. We hope that you listen. And most of all, we hope you keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Solve for Gen X.
It was the age of parachute pants,
Skinny ties, neon headbands.
we rode our bicycles helmet free.
A nicotine from a vending machine.
Decades, pastimes, memories, and masters song. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X.
I'm so sorry.
That was great.
That was
I loved
awesome.
it. That was
I
so
got
good.
distracted in the middle of it because there was some kind of crazy bird activity outside the window. Like, I think a hawk
Oh.
might have been chasing a sparrow or something was going. It was crazy.
It was the spirit of Casey Kasem. I'm Nate Starkey, Generation X, 1971.
Oh, I'm Ashley Ward, Generation X, 1972.
And that leaves me, Matt Vogel, Generation X, 1970. The year that this began airing.
Wow.
On America's
The
birthday.
very year.
I listened to some Casey Kasem video online. It's just, you forget about those little things like from coast to coast and around the world. Like, you just have heard him say that so many times. And like his outro that he always said, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah.
And then just going to the mailbag.
The long distance dedication.
From our nation's capital. His thing that like separated him, that really sort of made him stand out, is that he decided, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to like do a lot of factoids and trivia about the artists as part of my lead in to whatever their song is. And people
The
just
Little
love
River
that.
Band was neither a river nor little, but they were a band. Here's their song.
Sometimes he would do like and maybe I'm misremembering, but I think this is right. He would do sort of a little spiel into the person you wouldn't know who he was talking about.
Yeah.
He'd be like, born
We'll find out after the break.
Tom Johnson.
He would do the
He was
teaser.
an odd kid who grew up in a downtrodden London. Like, it ends up being David Bowie or whatever. Like, it was. That's not true for him. But it
is
would
for
be
me
this
now.
thing where it's like it kind
would-
of built the story, and then the reveal was the artist.
But he'd
who
always
did
do
their
it like
song.
after the commercial break or something, so that you'd keep listening and
Yeah.
come back.
American Top 40.
So he did America's Top 40. That's what he started with. That's
Right.
in 1970. He launched that. And then at a certain point in, I think, the 80s, he left the American Top 40 and started Casey's Top 40.
But in my mind, it was always American.
It was
Top
always
40.
the
I don't
same.
ever remember that switch.
I mean,
And then he went back
made
to
it.
American Top 40, and then he had like American Top 25 and American 10, like different times. But he was basically doing the same thing for that whole time. So for me personally, it's hard for me to, it's like, oh, I have these memories of that necessarily. I just have memories of radio listening. And, it was a really sort of private, like, solitary exercise. It's like, this is my time with the radio kind of thing. I mean, I know, like, people would, like, listen to the radio at a party or whatever, but that was more, like, time for, to me, like, radio listening is something you do by yourself.
It's shameful.
No.
Something you should hide.
But it's like, even as an adult, you do it in the radio, in the car, listening to
Yeah.
the radio when you're driving by yourself. As a kid, it would be like, I'm supposed to go to bed, but I'm going to stay up and listen to the radio, quiet, and like that sort of thing. That was my experience with the radio. And I really discovered a lot of music that way. And like Cool 105 is the oldie station, and I really discovered a lot of music that way when I was very young, just forming my music listening tastes aside and apart from my parents, as we talked about in another episode. And one thing I discovered, and which you'll appreciate, Matt, is Dr. Demento.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the thing. Like, I would search the radio dial by myself. And, of course, anytime you found Casey Kasem, you'd stop and listen to Casey Kasem. But I can't tell you, like, was it Sunday nights? When was Casey Kasem on? Once a
Well,
week?
it was syndicated, so I think it was whenever the radio
Different
station
times.
wanted to put it on.
In our town, it was on Sundays, like late afternoon, but I think
Ours was
they
Sunday morning.
replayed it. I think they replayed it. So I think it
there
would
was a
be maybe
replay.
in the morning and then also like in the afternoon, because we listened to it going back from my dad's place. Mm-hmm. That was like a lot of times what was on in the, on our way back, which was like a 30-minute drive.
I guess intimate is the word I was been looking for. It feels like an intimate experience listening to the radio, and I think DJs have that relationship with their audience. It's like people feel like they're talking to them, and it is that feeling of like it just feels like it doesn't matter if anyone else is hearing this. It's sort of very personal and intimate.
And radio stations kind of were your identity a little bit to an extent.
Sure.
Like there was a rock station in Atlanta called 96 Rock, and people would have the bumper sticker for 96 Rock on their car, which like now is sort of unfathomable. Like someone might have an NPR bumper sticker, but aside from that, no one's like advertising a radio station.
Right. Not a lot of,
on the
yeah.
back of their car. And like especially in the high school parking lot, you would see like a lot of 96 Rock, and you're just like, oh, they're really into like hard rock.
Right. That's
And
the kind
like
of person
I was
they
more
are.
of a Z93, Fox
see.
97.
Like we knew what station to tune in high school. We knew what station to tune into after we smoked some weed, and we knew it was time for Get the Lead Out. And here comes Led Zeppelin.
That would be on 96 Rock.
And then we would just hear just listen to Led Zeppelin and like just be high and be like, this is
Trying to remember the radio stations in Kansas City. I can only remember Q104, which is probably the pop. That's probably where Casey Kasem would have been. My dad listened to an AM radio station called WHB radio, and there was a kickin' country. I don't know, KCKN.
We had Kicks Country.
Yeah.
My stepdad worked for Kicks Country, and he worked for WSB AM 750, and he worked for WSB also owned 98.5, which had not the same as Casey Kasem. The what was her name? The love lady, and you would write your love. God, what was her name? Delilah.
I don't know
And you would
that.
write in about like and you would say like, I want to dedicate this love song. Like, it was all love song
Was
dedications.
it local love songs?
No, it was syndicated, and her name was Delilah, and she was like would read these letters of like, I really hope you and Todd get back together. Like it would be that sort of thing. And now I'm gonna play Alone by Heart. You know, it was like that like thing. Dedicating songs on the radio was a huge thing.
Yeah, and like
huge,
and even
in
like
my school,
calling up the radio and like asking them like, what was the song you played? Just one before this one, and like getting the information about the song from the DJ. Is something that I would do.
They used to do contests. I'll take the 10th caller at 555-104. Did you ever try to call in and win?
I was too skeptical to ever try that.
I actually won once.
You did?
I did.
What'd you win?
And here's how it worked. You would dial and you would wait because it's landline. You're waiting for it to ring. And then all the guy would do is pick up and go, "You're number 4. Keep trying." And then you'd keep trying back or whatever. And I was the 10th caller and I won of all the things, I won a Rolling Stones vinyl. I don't remember the name of the album, but I remember driving down to Q104 and picking it up. And it had like a I Heart Q104 sticker on it. And I went in to pick it up and I was like, and I wasn't a big fan of Rolling Stones at the time. I was just like, I wasn't, I was just like, and this definitely wasn't like the hits. There was just a hit, I guess. And I was kind of like, can I trade this in for a different record? And they were like, no, you won that one, though. Congratulations. I'm like,
oh, my God.
That was
I'm
the only
surprised
time.
that I've never called in to win like tickets to a concert or something. It seems
I feel like I
would have
probably did,
Yeah.
but I probably wouldn't call back. Like if I didn't get it, I would probably be like, screw this, I'm not doing it. I don't have specific memory of doing it.
This topic is about top 10, is about lists.
Yeah,
because
it's about lists.
Really popularized lists. And so, like, I was a huge David Letterman fan. I know David Letterman would have Casey Kasem read his top 10 sometimes.
Oh my gosh!
Because Casey Kasem, it's hard to one person popularized the idea of a countdown. It's like, yeah, actually, it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, NASA first, but then Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
Or we're actually in the Old West at shootouts.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I think you're thinking more like a French duel, like 10 paces.
10 paces. Yeah.
So I worked at Elitch Gardens as doing entertainment,
Which was like a Six Flags.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an amusement park, and we literally pulled the show wagon out every morning, and the show wagon with a stage, and we would get up and do shows, and we would just steal David Letterman things, and because we had no supervision, it was like we were just like teenage kids who worked in an amusement park with no supervision really, and a stage and microphones.
Oh my gosh.
And it was really obnoxious. And what were they thinking? But we would do top 10 lists. And we would get up on top of the show wagon and do stupid stuff like spitting grapes between each other's mouths.
Oh my gosh!
Stupid human tricks. This is stuff that we were very much inspired by David Letterman. Why don't y'all share, and then I will close this out with Casey Kasem facts that we don't hit on.
I just off of your thing about the David Letterman top 10 list, I also absolutely loved Letterman and loved the top 10 list. And Jack McBrayer and I wrote a article for our town paper when we were in high school. It was called Heritage Highlights. The name of our high school was Heritage High School. And the paper was the Rockdale Citizen. And once a week we had to put out this article. And it got passed down to us from another person. And I was like, I think it got passed down to me. And I was like, hey, do you want to do it with me? Because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this every week. And it was a huge bat where we'd be like, oh, can you do it this week? Like, no, it's your turn. It was troublesome. But we did a lot of top 10 lists. I would use top 10 lists in school projects. Speaking of which, Jack and I, again, he had to do a school project. We were in a different English class, I think. And his teacher, they were studying heroes, or the idea of heroes in American literature or something. And so he did, for this project, he did hero songs, songs about heroes, Big Bad John, or those kind of folky kinds of songs that are about heroes.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to do a Casey Kasem style countdown. And I was like the person who was like, top 10 hero songs. and then he would introduce a song and like play the song. And like we recorded this whole thing on a tape recorder. One of the things was he wanted to do was a long distance dedication. Like it was like a John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt or someone like that. Like a song, you know. And I didn't really know what improvising was, but I improvised the long distance dedication. So I'm like, I miss you so much out there. People shouting your name. I know you probably don't even think about me, but I hope every now and again. And then it's like, and we're going to play John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt for you or whatever the thing. I don't remember what it was. But so it was so like in my bones. And like probably by that time, I wasn't listening to it as religiously, but there was a period of time where every week I really needed to hear the American Top 40. And I had a lot riding on it, like, for whatever reason. Like, I would get so angry. Like, we built the city #1 again? Like, I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
And just like, I mean, this is crazy.
Things could go like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks at number one.
Weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But so on the, listening, that was like such a core memory is listening to it on the way back from my dad. So my dad would drive us back to Conyers from where he lived in Decatur. And that would always be on, and we'd be listening, and we'd talk about things. And, like, sometimes they would play a song from the past. Like, this year, 20 years ago, this year, the number 5 song was Jim Croce, and that's just the way it goes, or whatever. And then they'd play the Jim Croce song, and we'd talk about it. And yeah, like I really would get so invested. I loved like the storytelling of these like long distance dedications. Like I would think about them for a long time afterwards. Like what is going on with them? I hope everything's okay. Like just like would be so on the hook about like these little personal stories that would come out. And then yeah, just incredibly personally invested about like, oh my, wait, are you kidding me? The Huey Lewis in the News, Heart of Rock and Roll is not going to be #1? What? But it's
I do want to share.
Drop to number 3.
There is an online video of Casey Kasem freaking the fuck out.
What?
And like going on a swearing tirade because he's reading a dedication. And it's just like he didn't hit the right tone in his mind because it's a it's a letter about someone's dog who had died, and he's like, let's start it over. I can't do these when we come out of a high high energy number. Whose goddamn idea was it to like have to like read about someone's dead dog after a high energy number? God damn it! Like he just goes off.
The other thing that it makes me think of is like American Bandstand, which was a TV show and was a TV show for a very long time, and probably like in our middle high school age is when it like went away. And so it was like American Bandstand, Soul Train, and then there was Solid Gold. Those were kind of all like hitting on like American Bandstand wasn't so much about like what number you were at. It was more sort of about introducing new artists, also hitting like the hottest song around.
Teenagers dancing to the song, and sometimes you'd have Olivia Newton-John come and lip sync her song or whatever. They all
would lip sync. Yeah, it was wild. There's a Prince. There's like Prince's first appearance on American Bandstand. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
I think I have.
Wild. He's like 19. Like I guess if you name your child Prince, expect them to be the most confident, like beyond anything you've ever seen in your life. Like Dick Clark is fully just like, so I understand at 15 they offered you like a music contract and you turned them down. Why was that? Because it was because they wouldn't let you be totally in control. I mean, in fairness, you were 15. He's like, yeah, no, I didn't want that. And he would barely answer him, and Dick Clark is like,
really trying to.
And then what's so fun to watch American Bandstand, like look at it now, is like the clothes they're wearing and the way they dance and like the attitude is so funny. Like it is truly comedic.
And then they had like local versions of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have
That's
that.
what Hairspray was. That Hairspray is about the Baltimore
Right.
local version.
Yeah.
And there's an episode of Cheers,
Where Carla was on the dance show.
which, by the way, also stars Casey Kasem's wife,
Jean Kasem. His
was
second wife, I think.
who played
The really tall blonde.
Yeah.
the Tortellis.
yeah,
Who had the voice?
Yeah, right.
That's so funny. I just realized that she was in that episode.
Oh, that's funny.
That's crazy.
Of
Yeah, and then so Solid Gold was like really they had the Solid Gold dancers and they would just come out and do like a full blown dance number to
Oh yeah.
a pop song of the day. Like there was nothing else to it. It was just like we're out there. That was
man.
my first introduction to a thong. My sister and I would pull our underwear up into our butt cracks and and come out and dance around
my
like we were
gosh.
Solid Gold dancers or our bathing suits. And we'd just be like, Solid Gold. And my parents would be like, what are you doing?
girls, we need to have a prayer meeting.
You got to stop putting your
Get pulled in.
got to stop putting them bathing suits up in your butt crack. Now I know that's how the Solid Gold dancers do it, but you're not Solid Gold. You're barely silver at this point. So wait, let's see. It was American Bandstand and then Soul Train.
Soul Train.
And Soul Train was like the black version of American Bandstand. Wildly more fun to watch because the
Don
dancing
Cornelius.
Don Cornelius
was the guy in
was
that
the
one.
host. So fun to watch. The dancing was amazing on it. The clothes were amazing. It was all great. Like it was. They always had the two lines, and you would dance between them on Soul Train.
Yeah.
Like that was the big thing.
I was huge Soul Train.
Loved Soul
I never
Train.
really watched American Bandstand. Obviously, I'm aware of it, but
It was
Soul
a
Train, I
little.
love.
American Bandstand was a little like. I knew my parents liked it,
Yeah.
so it was automatically had like a stink on it. But I was not.
Those
that
were all
into.
Saturday morning. Saturday.
Yes,
Yeah.
Saturday
those
morning.
Were like,
For my
right?
improv class shows that my students, I would have them as a warm up do Soul Train line, and I would play music and have them line up and do two at a time, just come down in the middle, dance.
Just dancing,
And,
not trying to
yeah.
do anything, and
Nope,
just to kind of
just
is it
loosen
to
them up,
loosen
getting their
That's
bodies
a great
moving,
idea.
having fun. So like when it's time to do the show, they're all in a good mood.
That's a great
We
idea.
just do a general dance party.
And of course, most of them did not know what Soul Train was.
And I think Soul Train outlasted American Bandstand. I'm pretty sure it did.
Soul Train went like 2011, something
it
like
was
that.
on for a
my
long
gosh.
time. The other thing about just Casey Kasem was he was such a pop culture figure. Like outside of like he had this American Top 40 that I think tons of people listened to. It was appointment listening for a lot of people, but also he would appear in all kind. Like I guarantee you, he was on Love Boat. I guarantee you,
must
he
have
was
been.
on a Fantasy Island at some
Had
point.
to have been.
He was guest starring here and there and everywhere.
I mean, obviously he was
Hollywood Square.
He was Shaggy,
He was Shaggy, yeah.
right? He was a voiceover actor too.
and he was
And-
not just Shaggy. He did a lot of voiceover stuff.
He was
throughout his
Robin.
career.
Robin. On
He was Robin.
Super Friends. He was.
Yeah.
He was Robin.
Oh, okay.
Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just felt like this kind of presence that was in my childhood for so long. Not just his voice, but I also knew what he looked like from being on shows and stuff. But and so it was really sad towards the end of his life. There was like this huge thing with his Jean Kasem, who I think was his second wife. Or
Yep.
it could have been
Second
more than
wife.
that. And the children that he had with the first wife, who were really not liking how she was doing things. And so it became this like really kind of gross and contentious thing when he was dying and then after he died and stuff.
Since you brought it up, he ended up with Lewy body dementia.
Lewy body dementia.
Oh,
I
my
didn't know
gosh.
that, which is
Yeah.
what Robin Williams
That's
had.
Robin Williams, yeah.
So he needed care, and the kids, I think, were like fighting Jean for custody, and they accused her of elder abuse, and she accused them of like pulling the plug on his.
Oh my gosh.
Because they had the right to do that, like a court ordered that they had the right to make those decisions for him. And so they inevitably pulled the plug on him because his body stopped taking in the food and water, and he wouldn't take it anymore. So he was just,
Well, and he couldn't speak. I mean, it was like he
couldn't
was
speak
really
for a long
clearly,
time.
and he was. It's not like he was young. He was like old.
No, he was in his 80s, I would imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, so he lived to, I think, 2015. And so they both had suits against each other. The weirdest thing was that on video, they were like outside. They had protesters, Casey's kids, outside Gene's home because Gene basically stole him from the hospital.
Right.
She stole him from the hospital to take him home. And then, I guess wasn't really taking very good care of him. But she wouldn't let the kids see him. And so they brought some people together to protest outside the home, and then Gene comes out with a fistful of meat, throwing the meat at the kids, saying, "In the honor of King David, I throw this piece of meat to you, the dogs." It's there's a video of her doing this.
Oh my Lord! Everyone should look at that.
Yeah.
It's really sad. So I don't know. He was like such a part of my childhood, so I'm very nostalgic about him. And that was a way, especially like when you would hear number 40. So MTV was one way to learn new music. Listening to the radio was one way, but then Casey Kasem, like the higher up numbers, you'd be like, oh, it'd be like a brand new song just released that week.
You would not recognize those songs.
And, it might last 1 week in that spot because it was, the follow-up hit to Toto's Rosanna. And it might but then it was like, that song wasn't good and it goes away or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, it was a really easy, pleasurable way to learn about new music that, I don't know, it was fun. And you could listen to it with your whole family or shamefully in your closet.
Or
at home.
secluded at home in a closet.
So that's the
Did you?
You guys agree that's just weird?
No, it's totally insane. No, did you have like a radio or a stereo or a record player in your room?
I had like a little boom box thing.
Yeah.
And did you, Nate?
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that's where
Boombox.
you would have listened, I guess.
That was the age of the boombox. Did you?
And I'd have like a tape player so I could record songs.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so for me, American Top 40, again, like it's very similar to Ashley. We would listen, if we were up at my grandma's house, we would listen on the drive back home on a Sunday morning because it was like 3 hours. It was 3 hours to get through like 40 songs, something like that. 3 hours, maybe.
Yeah, it was long.
Like 9 to 12 or something. It was very long. So it would more than cover the time that it took to get home, or whether we were going up to my grandma's. But I remember listening and loving it. And there was part of me, I think, and maybe it was because of Casey Kasem, there was part of me that wanted to be a DJ, just to be able to like just put the record on and say the next song coming up is REO Speedwagon, Wheels are Turning, and then to do that. And I did kind of a similar thing, and I guess maybe we've all done this, but I would do like a pretend DJ thing, and I wish I had the tape, and I would put it together on a little tape recorder and put a song on, and making a tape for literally no one. It was for me, I guess.
Hayden and I would do it too. We had like a Disney record, and we would count down the Disney songs on the Disney record. So we'd have to like move it around, on the.
Were they your favorites? So you would go in a different order? You wouldn't.
Yeah, we would not go in the order of the record. It would be
Chimmery
like,
was not going to be number 3.
Definitely, Feed the Birds way low. That was or way high, I guess. On the list.
Yeah, I
did not like that one.
I do remember years beyond the show, seeing records of the program of American Top 40 in record stores, not like in like used record stores. So they were like like used records that somebody had like probably who worked at a radio station just had a ton of old radio shows, and he would bring them in, and I guess he sold them to this record store that we had in Kansas City.
Just the record thing. Casey Kasem did come out with his own record. He had one record, and it was the weirdest thing that you ever like heard. It's him reading the letter from a person who wrote him a letter, and it's just him reading it out loud on the record, and it's a letter about a woman who met George Harrison. and it's played, and underneath the song, he's talking over a Beatles song. The whole album, it's just one song. It's a single. And I don't know what was on the B-side or whatever, but it's just him reading a person's letter about how the time they met George Harrison, and George Harrison, I guess she hugged him, and George Harrison said to her, like, "Oh, you're a nice bird." Like that's the single.
I wonder if it's called Letter from Elena. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
And it just says novelty ballad spoken word.
There was something going on in the 70s of where they did so much, like, because there's all the, like,
Letter
Richard
from Elena,
Harris,
right.
and there's, like, William Shatner doing, like, spoken word versions of popular songs. I'm like, why were people clamoring for this?
I don't know. Those spoken word
that
ones are
little
so
to do?
weird.
And you know, the thing is, you can still hear, if you're really interested, if this has really made you you're like hit your appetite for going to listen
Whet
to
your
American
appetite.
If you've whetted your appetite for American Top 40, you can find it on you can hear it on iHeartRadio, as what I just discovered today.
Oh,
you can
okay.
listen to it on YouTube as well. So it's still it's like out there.
I would 100% listen to any year that of it.
Yeah,
like on a road trip, or it's just
get a
or
flavor,
just if I'm just doing stuff around the house.
Yeah, because it also would be full of factoids. Like, it wasn't just like number 8, this song, number 7, this song. It would be like, okay, especially towards the end, it's like somebody standing behind him going like, keep it going. Stretch it.
So Casey's top 40 was based on Billboard Hot 100 weekly chart. He also founded the American Video Awards. I don't know if you guys remember this.
No.
He went on for like 5 years.
It only lasted for 4 years.
5 years. Casey also did voices for Transformers and helped with Jerry Lewis's annual telethon. Casey was a very active in progressive politics, Lebanese descent, and like so. His Lebanese descent, well, first of all, I'll get into that, but I won't go that long, but he first started doing radio DJing when he was in Korea for the armed forces.
Is that the 50s?
He was drafted into the army.
Grew up in Detroit, tried to be an actor for a little while, and moved to New York City for 6 months to do that. He was hired as narrator for the ABC sitcom Soap, but quit after the pilot episode because of the show's controversial content. So I don't know.
So how progressive was he?
Yeah, I don't know. That's like, that would be. He was progressive in the sense that he really was active in, helping homeless and animals. He was a big animal rights, animal person activist, and he was a vegan his whole life. And actually, stopped doing. Only would agree to do. He stopped doing Shaggy, and he only would agree to go back to doing Shaggy if Shaggy became a vegan.
Oh,
which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
He also voiced the character Mark on Battle of the Planets, which is when we do our thing on cartoons.
Oh my gosh!
Battle of the Planets.
Don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it's like one of those cartoons that I loved so much.
I did too. I loved it.
That I feel like, was it a real thing? Because I'm glad that you know about it.
Yes, because I can't. You can't really find. It's like we call it G-Force or something like it. Wasn't it G-Force or something like it? Was
yeah, that's right. G-Force, Battle of the Planets, and it's like one of those things. Like, is that real? Did I imagine that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize.
Or not.
Oh, yeah.
Shaggy didn't have to be a vegan; he had to be a vegetarian.
Okay, well, all right.
There was another thing where
supported Nader and
supported
hosted fundraiser
Nader
for Jesse Jackson. Interesting.
Jesse Jackson married him and Jean, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He was very against campaign against the Gulf War. But was also very active in like supporting Palestinian causes.
So he was no slouch. He wasn't just a DJ. He
was active.
He
narrated a campaign ad for George McGovern in the '72 presidential campaign. Oh, he stopped doing Transformers because there's too many Arab bad guys on the Transformers. So he quit doing that voice. Yeah. I guess that's enough. There are other weird things with him and Jean, but like she had him buried in Norway.
Oh,
because that's where she's
from, and he never had even been to Norway once before in his life.
So I'm curious, like what somebody from Gen Z, what do they have?
So for Gen X.
Keaton, say hi
Hey,
to
Keaton.
Nate and Ashley.
Hey,
Remember them?
Keaton.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Our topic today was about a guy named Casey Kasem. First of all, I don't imagine, maybe you've heard of Casey Kasem? I don't know. Have you? No. That's not surprising because he's before your time. One of the things Casey Kasem did is he sort of introduced this idea of a countdown, like number 40 at number 40, and then at the number 1, best song
of the week.
Song of the week.
Yeah.
So
According to Billboard.
The Billboard charts.
A couple questions. We'll start with the first one. What in your life would you think about when you think of like a top numbered list, like a top 40 or a top whatever?
First thing that comes to mind is like a movie tier list or like maybe a show tier list episode, like favorite episodes.
Where do you see that kind of thing?
On YouTube. There's one guy I like in particular. His name is Moist Critical. It's a weird name.
What is his name again?
Moist Critical. It's a weird name. It's a weird name, but he makes tier lists of best movies of that year, of 2024, 2023, and all that stuff.
And he just bases it on his opinion.
Yeah, it's just his opinion alone, and sometimes they're just wacky opinions, and it's not always like the best opinion.
Have you found a movie from there? Let's say it was a movies of whatever year. Have you watched any of the movies that he suggested?
Not yet, but I've been planning on it.
One other question about that. About that guy, is he just a dude, or is he like, I was a film major, or I make movies, or does he have any other like qualifications?
He's just,
or he just has a weird enough name that people will be drawn to him.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
That's
on
not his
YouTube.
Christian name.
Does he have a real name?
Yeah, his name is Charlie.
Oh,
So
okay.
I guess that.
But
Charlie
so he's just
Critical?
a guy.
No, it's Charlie. I don't know his last name, but yeah, he's just a guy. He normally plays video games, but then he'll also critique other things he's watched.
Okay.
So is he a professional gamer, and that's why he has a platform?
Yeah, he streams a lot on other platforms.
And
How about like for are you a sports fan? You are, yeah.
Yeah.
I like obsess over like the top 50 best basketball players of all time, like stuff like that. I love. Are you get into that stuff?
I don't personally watch those, but I am aware of those.
How do people from your generation discover new music?
Most of the music I find while just scrolling on TikTok, or sometimes I'll be listening to a YouTube video and I'll hear a cool sound in the background, and then I'll use Shazam to get what that sound is, so I can know what
The song is?
Yeah.
Do you have a Spotify? Do you ever listen to Spotify?
I use Apple Music.
Oh, okay. Did they have a feature that like, hey, here's featured new music this week or anything like that?
I think they do. I'm aware of Spotify's version of that. I just haven't checked if Apple Music has that, but I do know Spotify has that. They also have like a chart of the top music of that time at the moment.
Keaton, you're 15?
Yeah.
Do you have an awareness of what the like best, most popular selling song is in the United States ever? Or in the
Ever?
world or anything? Yeah.
No, I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure I know about that. But you mean like...
Well, I
ever?
wouldn't know about it now, but I used to when Casey Kasem was doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. You're meaning like this,
that's-
like right now this
Oh.
week. What is the, like, is there a very popular song that like, oh, this just came out and everybody's like, everybody's
I guess
slamming to it.
the point I'm trying to make is like because of Casey Kasem, we were all aware of what the top song was.
Yeah.
The Billboard Top 100. We knew about it.
I would assume, actually, this is probably what the best way to phrase this is. On TikTok, there's like a way to check what the most trending sound
Right.
is. And I'm assuming the most trending is the most popular sound that people
I'm
like.
sure they're very related, yeah. Keaton, what music are you into? I'm assuming that you are into music, but you may not be because not everyone like gets into music at the same time in their lives. Are you into music? And if so, what are you into?
I love music. I listen to music whenever I'm like doing work or homework and stuff like that.
He has a very eclectic
Yeah.
taste in music, I would say.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you say?
I like music from Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson a lot. I really love those artists.
And then what
Sweet.
about now? Name somebody from today that we won't know.
Today I listen to Mac DeMarco or Tame Impala. And
Oh, Tame Impala, I know them. I've
What?
never
Yeah.
heard a song, but I know
Yeah.
the name.
Do you think it's funny just to make up names to make us feel stupid?
yeah,
Give us another name that we don't
You're
know.
100% making those names up.
yeah.
And how would you categorize their music?
Well, the two more recent ones are probably techno-ish.
Okay.
Some of them are
maybe, or-
like some of them are like techno, and then others will just be like acoustic versions of like just like the exact opposite of techno, I guess. If
I'm
that
not
makes sense. I don't know.
Like, is that opposite of techno is emo?
no,
I
like
don't know.
techno. Okay. Let me,
Maybe it's like an
let's see.
acoustic
Bluegrass?
like
The opposite of
guitars.
techno is bluegrass, obviously.
Techno,
It's gotta- that's the other
techno,
end.
like a bunch of
Digital sounds.
yeah, digital sounds, not
Right.
like a guitar. Or all it'll be digital
Right.
sounds
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
their voice,
So like
but
rock
then-
and roll.
sort of. No,
But more computer generated. He's being a jerk.
No.
I would say my music taste is much different from other Gen Z people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What,
Well, yeah,
in what
you do
way?
know that.
How's your...
I mean,
Well, he likes
I
Frank
don't think-
Sinatra.
No, I understand,
Yeah, I
but
don't
is that
think,
the only way?
I don't think many people now listen to stuff like Frank Sinatra. At least kids my age. I mean,
They
I
don't-
bet,
You also like 80s music too.
Yeah.
So he would
Well-
he would love American Top 40, in fact.
Yeah.
Not a lot of kids when I was growing up listened to Frank Sinatra either.
Oh,
I mean, Frank Sinatra hasn't been like hot. I mean, since the '60s, really. I mean, '40s was his big
Heyday.
heyday.
Tell that to Frank.
Except for me, I loved Frank Sinatra when I was your age. I always loved Frank.
I've always been very male on him.
I love Frank.
I have an idea for a fun game. Okay, I'm going to give you the names of 3 bands, musicians, whatever, that were popular when we were your age or close to your age, and you tell me which one is made up, which one could not be real, and then you do the same for us. So give us 2 real, 1 made up. Okay, so Flock of Seagulls, Kaja Goo Goo,
okay.
Diane Postman.
Okay, I know Diane Postman. What was the second one? What was that?
Kaja Goo Goo.
Wait, which one is? Wait, you're saying Diane Postman is what?
I just know of her. I know
You
she's
do.
a thing.
Are you?
So.
Can you name a song that
No.
Diane Postman has?
No. Oh wait.
did?
Okay. No. Now I'm second guessing.
Man, why?
Okay.
Let him finish his guess before you grill him on
So
his
Flock
guess.
of Seagulls, Kaja
Flock of
Goo Goo, Diane Postman.
I do not think Kasha Gugu is a thing. That's just
You're wrong.
Shy, hush, hush.
Hush.
I don't know.
okay.
Diane Postman is made up.
That's
I
made
made
up.
it up off the
Yeah.
dome.
I swear
it sounds so real. It was a really good one.
Wow. Okay.
That
all
was a
right.
good one.
Okay.
All right, now it's your turn.
Now you give us 3.
All right. I gotta really think about this one because there could be so many stupid names.
I know, but I mean,
nowadays.
yeah, like moist critical.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Yeet. Okay. Just
Okay.
Lil Baby. Baby Tekka.
I'm going to say Yeet is fake.
I'm gonna say Little Baby's fake.
Little Baby I know is real.
Oh, come on.
Well, I
Baby
also
Tekka is fake,
feel-
then obviously.
I really feel like Yeet might be fake too, because I know that that's a thing.
It's like throwing
that you
things.
kids say.
I haven't said that in years. But
Oh my god.
that's back.
Okay,
so
but
far.
that's a thing that people did
That
say.
that is a thing that people said.
Yeah.
said. Okay.
Well, before we move on, what did yeet mean? What does
It
yeet
means
mean?
like
What
throw
is-
something.
To throw
Well, yeah,
something.
but it's
Yeet.
like, yeah, but let's say it's like spelled differently.
Can you use it in context, like say?
Yeah, use it in
No,
a
not
sentence.
Or
his
is it
name.
just like an
It's
ex-
it's spelled differently.
It's like
Oh,
an
wait. Oh, you're
exclamation.
saying-
If I were to say like this artist, it would be not the word where you like throw something.
Oh, their name is. So it's real. So Yeet is real.
Yeet is real.
Well, you got to make your guess before I tell
Oh.
you.
I said my guess. My guess was
yeah. I
Yeet.
said my guess.
My guess
And
was
you, what
Yeet.
was yours? What did you say?
Nate's
Nate?
was
This-
Little Baby.
I thought the second one I
Oh,
thought
Baby
was fake.
Tekka.
Yeah, little baby.
Little Baby is what you said
Baby.
first.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I went with Yeet too. I thought that was the fake one just because of the name.
Yeah,
What's the fake one?
It was Lil Baby.
Little Baby.
Yeah.
Little Baby's fake.
Wait, I thought Little Baby was was real.
You did the exact same thing he did.
I did. I was like, I know that one's real.
Yeah.
I could read you. I'm a good poker player, so I just knew that was not the one. I had never heard of any of those things, but just reading you is like, that's the one he's making up, I could tell. Coming in at number 4, it's Little Baby. Here's what Keaton writes. I love Little Baby, but not enough people listen to him anymore.
I can't wait to hear him say his first word, and I hope it's
Yes.
Kaja Goo Goo.
Gaja Goo Goo with Too Shy. Here's your long distance dedication.
That's Casey Kasem. That's what he sounds. We're all kind of.
Yeah.
And just so now give us a flock of seagulls, Matt.
Oh, the flock of seagulls. What do they do? They
Right?
Were they? I ran right.
That's what I thought so.
I ran so
And they had some.
far.
And Iran.
And what was crazy
is
about them
right
was their
next
hair.
to Iraq.
Yeah,
Their
they
hair
had
was
their hair
crazy.
was like
Look at them.
that
came to a point and then like poofed up.
Yeah, everyone
insane.
knows Flock of Seagulls for their crazy hair.
And that was kind of the one song they had.
Oh,
They're
Well,
one,
Kaju Gugu is also a one hit.
two sha sha.
gosh.
Yeah, so I picked hard ones.
Kasha Goo Goo.
That's just.
But something like about Flock of Seagulls and Kashu Gugu, to me, nothing says more 80s than those two bands.
Oh man,
Good game. Good game.
Good
job,
game. I
everyone.
like
Good
that
job.
game.
That was a good game. Keaton,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Keaton.
joining us.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Keaton.
Yeah,
it was
thanks
good
for
to
having me,
see you. Cute.
Very nice.
That was
Cutie.
Keaton. Yeah, he has a really eclectic musical taste, which is really cool
if he's
to hear
listening to
him.
Frank Sinatra, he definitely does.
But he'll listen to, like, I was really impressed hearing him just listening to 80s songs and you know, songs I grew up with. And I didn't introduce them to him. I don't know, he TikToked them or whatever. But he has a really cool musical taste.
We should count down the top 5 moments of this episode.
Coming in at number 5.
The listing of all of the different radio stations from when we were growing up. I liked
Yes,
that.
I liked that too.
And here's Ashley Ward with number 4.
The horrible end of Casey Kasem's life.
Oh, yeah.
Coming
Number
in at
3.
Number 3 is Nate sits alone at home in the dark listening to radios.
Number 2, Nate, let's hear it.
Coming in at number 2. Realizing that Jean Kasem was in an episode of Cheers where she was in a local Boston dance competition.
Well, that's pitiful if that's our number 2.
Well, I don't know.
And coming in at number 1.
Keaton Vogel.
Yeah,
His perspective
agreed.
from Generation Z.
From little baby to moist
Critical.
counterpoint.
Moist critical.
What was his name?
Moist counterpoint.
Well, now I feel bad that my intro did not make the top 5 list of today's episode.
Oh,
Well-
I should have made that as number 4. I'm sorry.
Number 2.
I guess we gotta
okay.
pick a
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
something
God,
next week.
yeah.
All right, we're
Okay,
picking.
are we ready?
Yes.
Pick. Okay.
All right. Oh boy.
Nate loves to pick.
You picked last
I did. You're right.
Early pop culture crushes, sexual awakenings.
Yeah, that's it. We'll see you next time on Solve for Gen X.
Special thanks to my son Keaton for being on the show today.
Solve for Gen X is mixed and edited by Nate Starkey.
The theme song was written by Nate Starkey and Matt Vogel and performed by the Mighty Weaklings.
Our podcast art was created by Dave Hulteen at davehulteendesign.com.
You can find Solve for Gen X wherever you listen to podcasts.
And it's also available to watch on YouTube.
Just search Solve for Gen X.
If you're so inclined, please rate and review our show. It really helps our visibility.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
Solve for Gen X is a Welcome Matt and Married Nate and Ashley production.
If they